Record on this PC. There we go. So basically what I would like to start with is well, it still says my screen share is loading, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm just sharing my screen. Unbelievable. So there we go. My screen is sharing now, isn't it?
Ah, what you doing in my terminus?
That's my termius. Fuckface, get out of there. Wait, isn't that both our termius? I can't remember any of this shit. Can you guys see my iPad now?
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah? No?
yeah,
Okay.
we, yeah.
Oh, it's literally broken or what? No, there we go. Finally, it starts. Fucking hell. Okay, so let's get started with the first question. What the fuck is a token?
Depends what kind of token.
A token. Like, I'm just asking for the general definition of token.
Well,
What do I say when
well, I buy my beer with beer tokens.
Okay, and what did you
It's
use to
still a
buy
token.
those tokens with? Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And let's say that let's compare that to cheese coins, right? You bought that with money. You
yeah.
have a balance. That token represents you, more specifically, the fact that you have 1 unit of buying power. That is what your token represents there, right?
Mhm.
So that's what I want to get to, is that representation of you. Because if you don't have enough money to buy a beer, you don't have a coin for a beer. Simple as that.
Correct, a
So
beer token.
basically, first you go get that token. What is that? The same as authentication. Then you use that token. What is that the same as? Authorization. Now, what is this whole process an analog towards? Authentication, authorization, yeah, fucking fine. But basically, that grabbing of the token, or basically the way that you get a normal token like this, is you have a unit U. Oh, that is not what I wanted to do, my man. Uh, no, no, there you go. Okay, so you have unit U. You want to get a beer. So what are you going to do? You're going to go to the token place and you're going to say, give me 5 tokens, please. You're going to exchange $50 for it. Yeah, that's a pretty expensive beer, I know. But in the end, you're going to be left with exactly 5 tokens, which you can later spend. Now, why would you do this process? It's because you don't want to handle this. You don't want to have to handle your $50. So in that case, you don't want to have to keep going to your wallet, and you don't have to keep going. Okay, do I have like enough money? Okay, do I have not enough money? You want to simplify this process, because let's make it even more complicated. Let's say that a token isn't $50 for 5, but you pay 49.98 for 5. You can already see how dividing that by 5, making your own assumptions based on that, it's not simple. So you want to simplify that process. You don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. What are we going to do for that? We're going to use tokens. Very simple, right? Now, what could that token be? A token could be, like you guys are used to, a JWT token, logging in tokens, for example, authentication tokens, I mean. So when I'm logged in, I get a token back in its place, but that could also be CSRF tokens. And what a CSRF token is exactly, that's something we'll get more into later. That's not too important yet. Just remember that principle of a tokenization is basically a representation of you. That means that you don't have to keep representing yourself consistently towards everybody who needs to know, are you Wesley? Yes or no. Basically, you get a token for that. So that's a very simple process, right? That's a very simple oversimplification, maybe a little bit. But I want to go on to my next part of the story, and that's going to be how a site processes a post request. So let's say that I have a website here, and stick with me. I know great drawing skills, but this is supposed to be a website. And I have my server right here. So that looks more like a piece of toast. What the fuck? Who sees a piece of toast in it? I don't know what that looks like, but it's a server now. I dub it into server West. And server West, if I'm going to go with a post request onto my server, what's that going to be processed like? The server is going to take in the URL, it's going to take in the body, and it's going to do its actions based upon that, and it's going to send back its response. Everybody knows this, right? This is super simple stuff. You send a post request, the server processes something, and you get back a response. That response, I should say, could be as simple as 200 OK. Now, I am logged into this website, right? Let's say that I have a different website right here. And this website is hosted on test.com. But this is the server for west.com. Can test.com make a request to west.com? What do you guys think? Is there something wrong with this? No, of course not, right? Otherwise, APIs couldn't exist. Otherwise, communication between websites couldn't exist, right? I mean, we're going to have to make connections somehow between these things. Otherwise, we're going to have quite an isolated thing. But that's besides, like, that's your test.com making a request to west.com. This website itself would be hosted on west.com. All right, now let's imagine that I am logged in for this website. This is where the complexity comes in, because now I have to talk about how sessions are handled. So I'm gonna log in with account X on this website on west.com. When I'm logged in with account X, a session is being opened. And now that session, basically here I can say session A, B, C, that is user X. So a table is basically opened right here that says session versus user, right? Very simple. Then on the browser right here, I'm gonna say this session. That's supposed to be 1S. But the session ID for this user here is gonna be ABC. Now this is again oversimplification because it's never gonna be ABC. It's gonna be something useful. All right. Now, when I want to make a request as any user to the server, I need to be able to pass that session ID or tokens. We all know tokens, so basically this is just how sessions are handled. You don't even have to log in for this. What you need to know is that anytime I come into a website, even if I just visit it, the session ID gets being set, no problem. But then I can, after I log in, then that session ID gets bound to a user. That's one thing that could happen. What could also happen based upon that is other tokens could be returned. We know that JWT tokens, not going to go too deep into that. But let's say that it's a simple PHP website that handles based on sessions. When I want to make a request with test.com to west.com, I'm going to have to know this user session ID, right? Here I need to have a session ID, and this may be CDE. Okay, simple. That's not going to work as user X. That won't work. That's not going to work. Now, if I would like that, I would have to do session equals ABC. What would prevent me from recreating this website? So literally, I'm gonna make a copy of this website and I'm gonna host this on test.com. There's nothing stopping me from making a complete copy of this, right? And there's nothing stopping me from luring user X from west.com to test.com, right? I can just go to that user. I can say, instead of west.com, I might have reserved the domain we.com, and I might fool them to click on that. we.com and west.com are very similar. I can easily click them. I can easily fool them. And if the website is perfectly recreated, I could say, for example, handle sessions and stuff like that. But what the real thing is that I might want to have a request where if the user goes on this website, it looks like he is logged in. He can maybe do a bank transfer, because this is where that kind of stuff gets interesting, as a bank transfer, for example. So impactful requests are where this matters. But on those things, I can trick that user into clicking. And basically, where is the session set? Who can tell me that? Where is this session thing? Where's it come from? Anybody? This, where's this stored?
Server.
Yes, and where else?
Browser.
Browser.
Yes, exactly, guys. So that means that if user X goes onto this website, he's gonna have the same session ID on this website as on this website. That's tricky, isn't it? Because that means that if my request is being done and I can set certain, I can make this request go through my website, the session ID is set, bam, I might have a very serious issue here. So what does that mean? I need to have several components that I need to take into account. So I need to have a request, and a response needs to be a post request, could also be a get request, but I'll get more into that later. So don't worry too much about this. I need to have a request. This is, by the way, hardly ever done, which is why I said I'll get to that later. But just remember post, put, that could be. A delete request could be. A patch request could be. So you can see that we have several request methods in which this CSRF token needs to be set. That's one thing. So these things can happen in impactful calls. What do I mean with an impactful call? For example, changing your email address. I'll get more into that later. That's a super important one. But if you can change somebody's email address like this, you basically have an account takeover. You can do this on, I'll get more into the last one that I have written down here, but this is an important one, chaining CSRF exploits. So impactful calls, and this needs to be behind the login. And you need to have a CSRF token bound to the session. Also added to every single form in which you make these types of requests. Those types of requests added to every single form and checked fully upon submission. So this is everything that I have to do as a developer to make sure that my website is protected against CSRF attack. I need to identify all of these calls, need to make sure that they're impactful, need to make sure that they're behind login. I need to add CSRF token. Then I need to bind that CSRF token to the session. I need to add that to every single form they have, and I need to check it when somebody submits that. So I have quite a big job as a developer, because as a developer, I cannot miss any single form, not a single one. Whereas you as a hacker, you can miss forms. You just have to find the one where this is not applicable. All you have to do is find that one form where that is not applicable. So again, it seems simple. The whole complexity comes from the fact that you have many, many, many different forms on a website. That's where a lot of the complexity will come from. And also what is impactful versus what is not impactful. That will come back to haunt you later. But let's get started with, first of all, defining a little bit how a website like this is made. And I'm gonna do myself a little favor here and charge my headset in one ear. You guys can still hear me, right? Sometimes these microphones fuck up. But basically, let's say that I have a simple
What did you say?
website. So I have nothing, my lord, nothing.
Okay.
You know
Carry on,
from our
carry on.
previous lessons, and this is gonna be a bit of a repetition, that we have the head with the title. Basically, you can have the meta tags right here. You guys know that, right? Slash head. I mean, at least if you followed the previous lesson, you should know this. This is the structure of an HTML page. Then we have a simple body on here. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of a form on here. Form. And then I'm gonna put a bit of a little input here. And this input is gonna have, of course, your normal identifiers. You're gonna have your clauses here, everything that needs to be. And this little input right here is gonna be, let's say that this looks like so let's say email. And then we have a button, which is the submit button value equals submit. I really need a fucking new iPad. This thing is burst to the seams. It's like cracked all over. I fucked this thing up badly. I blame my daughter for this. She's not here, so I am allowed to do that. I'll move my laptop to there a little bit so it doesn't look like I'm looking down into the abyss. Anyway, I'm gonna end my form here. And I'm gonna end my body here. Live body. And yes, I know I have terrible handwriting. And I'm gonna end the HTML tag, HTML West right there. All right, so this is the simple structure of a website with a body, with a form on it, with an email input field where you can change your email. Now, there's no protection on this at all. So that means that an attacker, if they want to, they can just replicate this. And they can host this on their own server. And they can do some very malicious stuff with this, because if they then trick the attack or the victim to go onto that website that they've just generated, that copy that look like this, but sends the request not to this one. And why do I not have to add a form action here when I do this myself? This is only for the attacker. I mean, I can add a form action in here. For fuck's sake, I cannot even select the colors anymore. Let's do it like that. Nope, it doesn't want to play game. Oh, because I'm doing erasers don't have colors, Wes. Erasers don't have colors. So as the attacker, I have to do action equals wes.com. As my victim, and then of course also maybe methods equals post. This should have been there. Post, but not that action equals west.com. Now, why do I need to not do that west.com? And I'm pointing at my screen like a fucking moron, but you guys cannot see me pointing. This whole action.com thing that I see right here is basically going to, when I don't have that, it's going to do that to itself. So if I post this without an action, it's just going to post to itself. Is that clear what I mean with that? Any questions so far?
Yeah, I have two questions.
Of course.
This might be for later, but like my first question is like for authentication flows like OAuth or something, how would because I know that returns like a token for this, so I was just wondering how that fits in with this, but I think it's a more advanced version of this. And then my second question is, I heard with these kind of forms, sometimes they will put like a hidden text box on the side and fill it in with like your default values. I don't think it's related to this attack in particular, but I was just curious about that too.
So indeed, could you repeat that first question, please? I didn't fully catch that.
Oh yeah, because I know with OAuth, for example, like that is used to like it's just like a flow that I mean I'm sure you know what OAuth is, but maybe for the others, it's just like a flow to authenticate someone. Like it's like a protocol kind of, and I know for them they have like they return a token, and it's really important for them to do that in case like if the whole flow gets hijacked by this attack. So yeah, I was just
Indeed, that
wondering
is
how that
also a
fits in.
very, it's a very effective, it's a great question, by the way, and this is also a very effective protection against this kind of attack, because like this, what I'm explaining here is based on older PHP websites. This is all bound to session ID, what I'm explaining over here. Like newer websites have CSRF protections, but they're often going to be like there are going to be added things on top of it. Like, for example, if there's a JWT token set in the browser right here, that's one of the OAuth endpoints. Like you could have a JWT token generated. That's a token as well. And any token is going to be used to validate that the user is who they say that they are. So a CSRF token and OAuth token in terms of CSRF verification have the same value. That being said, you do need to build that into your flows, of course. So what does that mean in terms of having a website where I can change my email address, for example? If that website for changing the email address doesn't verify that the token is correct, then I have a CSRF issue. I could have a cross-site request forgery issue, but I much more have an authentication issue or a broken access control issue. Because then if it's not checked properly, I can change somebody else's email address. I can just have actually an IDOR. Now, I hope that makes sense, but basically, in terms of checking a CSRF token on the server, so that CSRF token would verify, yes, AKMK is AKMK, she is who she says she is, or verifying that JWT token, they would have the same end result. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. Thank you.
And does that also then make sense when I say that CSRF belongs to broken authentication issues? No, broken authorization issues in the
Yeah.
OWASP top 10?
Yeah, that does
Because
make
when
sense.
I explain that, like sometimes it's a little bit confusing, and especially for me at first it was confusing. But when you go to the OWASP top 10 for CSRF, that's actually in there as a, no, fucking hell. It's in there, but it is actually indeed under A5, your authentication. Authentication, yeah. I always have to see is it authentication, is it authorization? But indeed, it is definitely like something that confused me at the start. But the token is a token. So it's a great question. And basically, your second question, I don't remember it. Sorry, could you repeat it, please? My apologies.
It's okay. Yeah, I'm just afraid that it's not very relevant to this course, but it just sometimes I saw examples of like, let's say they put form the form input values, but they would hide them, and then they would fill them with like your
Yes.
default values. So for example, if you have like credit card or like your full name or like your email, like they will automatically take those values, store them, but you'll never know that they were stored. And I don't know, I don't think that that's related to CSRF or not, but yeah, I was just
Not
wondering if
fully,
it
but
was.
to a degree. So it's a great question. What I would need to do to protect against this is I would basically put a hidden input field here with the value equal to the CSRF token. And this is going to be hidden because I don't care. Like the user shouldn't know this, you know. These are just to these are just to get the site to work the way that it's supposed to work. And I don't know if you remember from the Burp Suite course, but there we had that option in the proxy settings to unhide hidden form fields. That is why this is useful. Like if I have that on and I have a bit of an older website, which believe me, there are enough, which is also why I still love teaching this. There are enough older websites that actually just use like a session token, like session verification. So it is still very relevant even to this day. I mean, if you get started as a programmer, you don't immediately go to the latest and greatest. You start with learning the basics. So I agree that a lot of these frameworks do have CSRF protection built in. You can also overwrite it. You can forget to include it in the proper fields. I mean, you still can't ask a robot to verify which of these forms are going to need a CSRF token. So you can ask it, put it everywhere. but then you're maybe adding extra strain to the server because these are checks. They do require some computational time. So maybe you don't want that everywhere, because if you're gonna have like a ton of searches, for example, who gives a fuck about those searches, right? Especially if they're public searches. Like, you're not gonna protect that with a CSRF token. So for them, you don't want to have that automatically added, which is still why I think that there are a lot of frameworks that might have this, where it's going to be inefficient to run it everywhere. So I hope you guys can still see that there is value in this for sure. This is not going away anytime soon. But these hidden input fields, this is where we are going to often find our CSRF tokens. And now, how am I going to have to generate a CSRF token like that? I'm going to have to generate that somewhere in like my PHP code, and I'm going to have to say question mark if session, if this session, the PHP session token, is what this is, the PHP session array. I mean, if that doesn't contain a token somewhere, then generate a token. And this is just pure shitty code, of course. And then I'm going to have to add that token right here. And then when somebody posts this form, I'm going to have to verify the token in a different method. So you can see that this is quite the expansive process. There's a lot of stuff that I do need to take into account, but I hope I have adequately explained at least the basics of CSRF. Do you guys have an idea that you have a good feeling of what CSRF is, why we have those tokens, what they protect against? If not, no problem, by the way. I'd rather have you ask too many questions than too little. It's important that everybody is fully aware of everything. So we'll basically, I can end this screen share for now. If there are questions, don't hesitate to ask them afterwards, of course, as well. That's why we set up that server. And I need to be careful to not drop my iPad anymore, because I think that poor thing cannot survive another like 2 seconds with me. All right, friends. Questions about... Sorry, go ahead.
I've got a question about CSRF.
Of course. Wait, I have to say, how dare you? You're supposed to know this shit. Am I a
Yeah,
good boss now?
I do know this shit. I'm just asking you.
So you're testing my knowledge on this
What
shit.
is one of the main things that has to be activated for this to occur?
What do you mean by activated?
Well, for you to have a successful CSRF, like changing somebody's password or whatever, there is one main thing that has to be possible. What is it?
I have no idea what you're referring exactly to, but maybe
There is one
request coming from another server.
Right,
is what you're referring to?
No, right. There is two main stipulations for CSRF to work. One of them is blah, blah, blah. And the other one is there is
Still haven't got a clue what you're referring to.
Okay, right. The second one is there has to be no unpredictable input queries or anything unpredictable. Yeah. Because if you can't predict it, then you can't attack it, right? So the other first one is...
You need to be able to replicate the site fully, you mean?
Okay,
like you need to be able
I'll make it... No, I'll make it easy for you. The victim has to be...
authenticated. Is that what you're aiming at?
No, the victim has to be...
The victim does have to be authenticated, or I guess if they're not, it's no point.
The victim has to be logged in. And authenticated.
That's what I'm saying.
We'll give you that one then, yeah. The victim has to be logged in. Otherwise, this shit ain't going to work.
Yeah, indeed, and it's true what you're saying. Like, you do need to have like a full replication of this thing. Because what Orgus is referring to, for example, is if that email changed, what do they ask you with an email change these days? To enter your password. And that's something that as an attacker, you also can't know. So indeed, that's a great remark.
Yeah.
That is totally correct. It is very important that when you do this type of attack also, that you are able to replicate the website. Like at least to a little bit the form that's on that website. That's the proof of concept generation. And that is something that org is also into that. Like you need to have a proof of concept for this. Because like even if you think it's possible, even if you don't see a CSRF token, even if the user seems to be authenticated, you can't be sure that there are other things that the server is verifying at that point. Like you never know for sure. The servers could have set a cookie that you are not sending along. The servers could have set a header that you are not sending along. Sometimes CSRF tokens are also set in the header. So indeed, there are quite a few things that you have to take into account. I'm gonna go over to this
So-
for a second. Sorry, go ahead, AK.
Oh no, so my question is, you're trying to replay like or create a request that gets the same response as if you were authenticated with someone that you're not authenticated with?
Well, sorry, I said that wrong. What I meant to say is basically your victim has to be logged into the website. So if I want to recreate a proof of concept, your victim's gonna have to be logged into the website. Now, when we do this, we'll see at the beginning that we're not logged in, but it's going to be assumed that we're logged in on the first lab that we do. And speaking of the first labs that we do, I think it's also not a bad idea if I go back to here for a moment. This is in broken X control. But where do we put it? Injection. Here, of course, authentication. I keep saying authentication. So basically, in here, CSRF1 is supposed to be safe, CSRF2 isn't. But in this case right here, it seems like we're logged in. This is supposed to be an authenticated request. So that's important. Now, the first thing that the user has to do, or an attacker, 0, is supposed to be safe, but that's going to have to be 1 in this case. What an attacker is going to have to do is he's going to have to see where are CSRF tokens in these forms. If there's no CSRF token, that's already a very valid target for attacking. It doesn't mean that it is per se possible there, but you could have a look at attacking that target. So here we do not see that CSRF token. Remember that hidden input field? That's not there. So that's something that the attacker is going to have to do first. If we go to CSRF3, I believe we will see that. If I inspect it right here, there we go. So we do see a hidden token right here. Now here we see a predictable token, user ID 2. This is predictable. Basically, this is not a good token. This is just a extraction from what user identifier you're currently logged in with. So if I can guess your user identifier, I can guess your token. This is not a good token to have. In CSRF4, you'll already see that we'll have more of a token. So in here, that's a similar token, CSRF5. That's what I'm gonna have to look at. But these tokens, you should be general. No, of course, I forgot that. These tokens, they do need to be randomized. So if I go and check this, register for a moment, and then log in. Right here, I have a form here. Well, password test is hacked. Who would have known? Right here, I have a form with also no token. Oh, here we go. CSRF token. This is a good token. I was just about to say where I put the token here, but this is a good token. This is a random GUID. This is very hard to guess, of course. You're not going to be able to simply brute force this, but this is a lot better already. So this is going to be what you're often going to be seeing as a CSRF token, either in a hidden input field, or you're going to be seeing that sent along in the header. When that's added to the form, I'm gonna have to check that. So first I need to generate, then I need to add to the form, then I need to check. I keep repeating these steps because they do matter. And I'm going to show you guys in code what that looks like as well. So I need to open the right repository in here, the expert labs. And in the credit transfer medium. Okay, so yeah, you're gonna see the exploit, tough shit. But basically in here, it's gonna, first of all, see if there is no CSRF token set. So this is what I meant with it's going to check in the session, and I'll zoom in a little bit, make this a bit smaller, but it's going to check into the session variables if that CSRF token is being set. So if that CSRF token is in there or not in there, it's going to generate one. Later, it's going to, when we see that form right here, where is it? This is the register, the login. Nope, that's the credit transfer. Here we go. So in here, we're just going to echo that session variable. And then later, is die nog niet in hem slapen? Later, sorry about that, by the way. We're going to check if that is actually, so this is the user registration, the login, the logout, and the credit transfer is right here. We're going to see if this is set, and you can already see that I'm doing a wrong check here, because this is checking for the same length. That's not a correct check. Here it should say like this. So it should say like that. Base out and remove this, of course. That's a good verification, and it needs to be these 3 equal signs, because if you don't have 3, it's not a literal comparison in PHP. Like, there are some exploits possible, a lot less already, but this is a more valid check. So you can see all of the elements that we need. We need to have the generation, we need to have it into the form right here, and we need to have the check all the way up here. So if I have on any page where I forget about any of these 3 elements, I'm pretty much fucked at that point. What's wrong with the kid? If I forget about any of these elements, I'm pretty much screwed at that point. Now, that as a developer means that they're pretty much fucked. As a hacker, that means lovely. We get to check a lot of these forms, and we can see if a developer put any of the stupid things in here like this. Maybe a junior developer, you know, it could always happen. They can put some stupid stuff in here. So this is one thing. Plus, there could also be regression bugs, meaning that if there was a bug ever in this, and there was a developer who was on holiday, but he still had the buggy code on his computer, and he checked in the buggy code, the bug could come back. Because again, this is a very intensive process. What is often recommended for this is that you're going to use a security factory where you're going to generate that and we're going to check that token. That way you check it all in the same way. So basically one method in a separate file, and you keep referring to that method. That way you know that you only have to include that method in a page, and you can do what you need to do there. All right, wat moet hij nu weer? Wat moet hij? Nee, hey, kom. Het is 9 uur, het is 10 uur eigenlijk. She went to her grandmother's. When she goes to her grandmother, she's always unhandleable. It's like 10 p.m. She wanted chocolate, and my wife always gives in.
Oh no, not the mother-in-laws.
Oh, it's a mess, dude.
Yeah, I
I
know.
hate it when she goes there. They bring
I
them home
know.
at like 9 p.m. and then they wonder why they're fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
because
what
they
the
fill
fuck?
them full of sugar and shit and don't give a shit because they're going home and it's not their problem. When they're all
And then I
hyper.
have to teach at 9 p.m. So I'm like, bring this kid home for fuck's sake. I have to teach. My Siri was like, I don't know how to respond to that. You don't have to bring my kid home, Siri. All right, my friend. So what could go wrong in this? Tokens not being bound to sessions. So the CSRF token is bound to my session right here. it has to be bound to this session to be effective. It could be that you only check the length of the token. It could be that you only check if the token is present. It could be if the token is not defined at all. You know, like sometimes if there's no definition for the token, there's no check. There's several different exploits that we could do with this, which we're going to do with this. But we need to make that exploit first. And I want to turn your attention back to that document I've shown you before. Because in here, and you're all going to get access to this lesson material, by the way, but in this document here, I listed a few tools which are really useful for CSRF generation, CSRF utilization. So for example, we all know that Burp Suite Pro can generate CSRF proof of concepts. I mean, do I need to show you guys this? It's really easy. You click on a page with your right mouse button. I think my license is about to expire soon, so I'll have to get that fixed. So basically,
Yeah.
if I have any
Better get that
right
fixed.
here.
I can't get my bug bounties if you don't get that fixed.
Oh yeah, your thousands of bug bounties that you get
Yeah,
every
I know,
month,
man.
right?
Yeah, man.
You guys
Come
don't
on.
know this, but Borges is the secret bug bounty hero. He just doesn't share that.
Yeah, I should be so lucky.
Anyway, so you can just right click on any page. You can generate this sort of proof of concept, and you can click test in browser. It's gonna give you a URL. And this URL you can open in a browser that is connected to the Burp Suite proxy. So if I copy this URL and I open my browser right here, I can see that it's going to emulate that page with the form on it, but there is no form. And it's going to auto-submit that request. Simple, right? Cool, nice, very fucking awesome. There's nothing to that. That everybody can do. The kid, my kid can do that. She loves doing that kind of stuff. She does it on a daily basis. CSRF, her favorite, absolute favorite. I'm gonna go back to the labs though.
Even I
because,
can do
mean, we cannot.
CSRF. It's magic.
I can't. I really don't know how to exploit it, but I'm sure you guys are going to teach me that. Because in this
Yeah.
request right here, if I want to, like, this is a little bit of a lesson that I'm going to throw in a little bit of a repetition about the developer consoles, because I don't know how well you guys know the developer console, but there's a lot you can do in here. Don't know if you noticed, but you can click this thing right here and you can select any element to go right to the code. You can click console and you can execute any JavaScript code on the page, also JavaScript code that's already there. This does not constitute cross-site scripting. Allee, schatjes. Ga naar bedje. Het is goed, hè? Het is 10 uur. Nu naar bed. Bit of a disaster. This does not constitute cross-site scripting. I've gotten asked this before. This definitely isn't the same. This is just a console which you can use to debug stuff into. What I sometimes do is I use this to test any JavaScript code into if I want to, for example, steal values from the page. Because yes, I can grab this thing's value right here. I'm gonna do something that I don't like. I don't know if I've ever shown you guys this, but you can go to, you can of course have to go to ChatGPT, make a JavaScript code that can grab the values from the fields and alert them. So you can grab values from the fields. You can actually post them. And you can grab those. You can send them back to your own server. So that's pretty fucking cool. Why is it cool? You can debug in there. Come on. There we go. So let's go back to my labs. Yeah, of course it's not gonna fucking alert because I haven't executed that function yet. There we go. So you can see that it does extract the amount. Now, why is that fucking cool? That is extremely cool because basically you can make a cross-site scripting stealing from the page, also stealing CSRF tokens. So if you have a CSRF token, you could steal that CSRF token from the page with cross-site scripting. Cool, right? We're going to do more into that later. But for this lab, What I would like to do now is, you know, that security.love thing right here. I also can do this. Now make a CSRF proof of concept, please. I want it for bug bounties. Sometimes I'm just too lazy to correct my spelling mistakes. So you can see here that if you don't have a CSRF proof of concept generator, so like it, love you. If you don't have a proof of concept generator, you can use this as a proof of concept generator. It'll even tell you the exact steps to do it. So, I mean, what more do you want in this world? But let's do this for fun manually. Just a bit
Just
of
use this
repetition.
website. AI is shite.
Anyway, so moving on, the sources right here, that's not too important. The network tab, that is important because if I do make a request, and I'm sorry I'm flying through this a bit, guys, but I don't have a whole lot of time, only an hour and a half. If I fly through this request right here, I can actually go and I can see what the payload was. So I have the fields that I just saw. You see that here, data, that's the same as I just had here. So amount. But you see already here that it's in the colon, it's an equal sign. And then you have the ampersand sign to, oh, no, not an emoji. What the fuck? The ampersand sign, as I was about to say. And here you can have the rest of it. So this is gonna be like mom or whatever. And again, equal sign. Now the URI, that's in the headers right here. That's this, and we have the request method right here. You can see we can generate this. That's my 44th proof of concept. So we can see that that actually was posted to this site. Now, that is a way to generate the CSRF proof of concept, but we know that there are many different ways in which CSRF could be exploited. So this is a very simple CSRF proof of concept. I would love, like, if you guys want, feel free to go through this. Argus, we really need to fix lab 4 and 5. These are fucked up. But the medium is easy and doable right here. Let's register again. Let's log in. So if I'm logged in right now here, also I have instructions on this. Cool, right? I mean, literal step-by-step instructions. How fucking cool is that? So if I want to do this on this website, we can see in the console, in the network tab, I mean. So let's do transfer medium right here. Payload, username, password. This is just my login request, it seems. Oh, you must be less than 5,000. So let's do 34. And there's no request. That's perfect. Yeah, okay. We'll have to look into the slabs. My apologies for that. That's okay. That's why we have the, where is it? The Computer Systems Inc. That's the one that I was looking for. So basically here we're going to have the same thing. We have an account number. I'm going to send that to another account number, 123. Okay, money has been sent from this to this. Now it's your guys' turn. Here in the network tab, I'm gonna make this request again from this account number to this account number, 12. Now, I'm going to just copy this as a curl, and I'm going to say I can literally right click, copy that as curl, do the same for right there. So this isn't an exploit because I've literally just transferred money the way that this user intended money to be transferred. What would I need to change here to make this something which is actually useful in an exploit? This isn't useful in an exploit. Like, we can all agree on that. If I go and I open Visual Studio Code, I open a new tab, I say test.html. Normally I should be able to, there it is, right click, reveal and finder. All right, so, well, that's not what I want. I'm just gonna edit this and I'm going to, there we go. I'm going to remove this. So basically, what the fuck? What did I fuck up? Method post. Great work, ChatGPT. Fuck it, the old-fashioned way. So I'm just gonna take my values right here then. I'm just gonna say equals. I just gave this whole spiel about how ChatGPT can help, and then ChatGPT fumbles it. Great. Great, very professional. So we have everything that we need right here, except for the link. I still need to change that. Go to the headers right here. Make sure that I have the correct one. There it is. Download proof of concept. This isn't useful to me, right? I mean, how could this start to be more useful? I already saw that display none. So let's grab that back. Let's see if we can open that page, and let's see style display none. So let's just open that page that I've just downloaded. Right click, open with Visual Studio Code. And let's start editing this file. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to make this thing, that the form that we had here, method action. Here, I want to make that form invisible. Now, I want to change where I'm sending money to. This is going to be my account. So sending blah, blah, blah from there to my account with this much money. And there's a send money button, but that's not going to be like, okay, that's fucking nice, right? Send money, fine. But, well, yeah, actually, it's better if I just do it like this. Hidden. I make everything hidden because I do want that that button here to be visible, but I'm not gonna say this here. I'm gonna say click here to win $1 million. So if I execute this proof of concept now, it's already getting there, you know what I mean? So I just need to remove this from account, this to account, this amount. Like I just need to remove these labels, but the inputs are still there, they're just invisible. And I click. So you can see that this much money has been sent from my account to attacker. That is a lot more useful at this point. Well, in this case, indeed, the user doesn't have a CSRF token. So how could we protect against this? You're right, AMK. The user doesn't have a CSRF token. But let's go to challenge number 2 and see if that is still the case. Ah, yes, we do have a CSRF token in here. Let's send from a victim to mom. I'm gonna send my mom some money because I love her so dearly. And she just texted me, which is why I had to think about her. So I'm gonna send her some money. Now I see that pretty much everything's the same, right? Pretty much everything's the same. So I'm just gonna go to my proof of concept generator right here, except for URI. It's gonna be sent money too. And there's gonna be an extra field in here. So if I go to the payload, I can see that I have a CSRF token as well, extra. So I'm gonna add that to my, where was I? Right here. I'm going to say ampersand CSRF token equals download proof of concept. All right, so still working so far. CSRF token is there. We can do that. We can send money from the victim to the attacker. We can send money, no problem, as long as we have that CSRF token. Now, what if I leave it empty? Still works. What if I put any value in here? Still works. So this is an example of a CSRF token being generated but not used, or at least not validated. And AKMK left. Am I really that boring, guys? Come on. No, I'm kidding. So of course I'm not boring. I'm fantastic. What am I saying? Jeez. Unbelievable. I'm gonna do the same for number 3. So sending money. Let's again do that. Still the same. What about 4 though? Because we also have a 4. Let's try that there. Now I know that that is the same, by the way, so I know that that exists. Let's do this here. Okay, we've been able to validate. Now let's put an empty token. We see that the CSRF token is missing, or at least it tells us the CSRF token is missing, or its length is incorrect. Besides CSRF token issues, what other issues exist on this website? Not per se bug bounty valid, but what would you say is another issue I have here? Any guesses? You can give any guesses. I mean, there's probably a bunch of exploits here, but any guesses? Is yours? Nobody? Well, I would say I would argue that this is way too informative, right, Peter? Like CSR, why would the user need to know this? Why would the user need to know this information? This is way too informative. It shouldn't even give this, right? Now, something else that I haven't taught yet is cross-site scripting, right? So broken image. Not valid here. That's a shame. Gonna do that here though. Yeah, fuck. Don't tell me I put the one that doesn't look for image. Nope, doesn't have that. Okay, never mind. But cross-site scripting would also be possible on pages like this, right? Potentially. Like, why the hell did I secured it here? I have no idea. But apparently my smart, oh, there we go. We have a broken image right here. So remember, I can select things with this. This is a P. So we do seem to have a broken image right here. What if I do image source equals X and then do like the same for the 2 account, and then so I can already see a really broken image appearing right now. What if I do on error equals alert? So I do have some cross-site scripting here, and I'm using alert because it's just recognizable. You shouldn't be using alert, but I have some cross-site scripting here. Now translating this is self-XSS, because this is only a page that I can see. You do not see this page. You would have to be logged into my account to see this page. That's self-XSS. Now I'm going to chain this to where I want to insert this XSS attack vector through a proof of concept with CSRF, because if my victim clicks on my attacking website, not only do I have CSRF, but I'm able to insert XSS into a self-XSS situation. So I'm upgrading self cross-site scripting into a valid full cross-site scripting for this. Does that make sense to you guys? So if I do like this, where is it? There we go. So I'm going to go back to the first one, and I'm gonna say take this, and then I'm going to say this right here is just send money. No, this is not working. Why? That's fucked up, isn't it? This thing had to generate one thing for me. One thing, CSRF proof of concept. Why is that broken? Let me tell you guys. Let me show you guys the source code that this thing generated. I added a space in there myself. So what's this thing gonna do in a space? Cut it off. Indeed, value source equals X, on error equals alert. And then we can make that stuff hidden again, you know, save for now, open again. That's a lot better. And especially if I make those fields hidden, So I go back into my source code. Now I can start to make things hidden. I can start to remove labels. I can start to make this enticing to click on for my victim. And while that CSRF token is in here, I could also play with it. I could leave it empty. I could completely remove this from the scenario. So in this scenario, I'm inserting cross-site scripting through a CSRF attack. Is that clear what I'm doing right here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, perfect. This isn't too complicated, right? But this is very important information because I used to, like when I was hunting, I had a target which only allowed self-success, or at least where it was possible, because you could make your own wish list. But I wasn't able to insert an attack vector into your account until I found the CSRF attack vector. And then I was able to backdoor an XSS attack vector, steal the cookies, and bam, I was in. Now that cookie was a session ID that I had to steal. It didn't have the HTTP only flag active. So there's quite a few things that have to merge to make this possible. CSRF is a pretty, like, it's a, in general, in my opinion, you need to know how the flow goes. You need to know how to exploit it. You need to know why this exists. And I think you guys have a big picture already, or at least a somewhat bigger picture. And you can start to imagine how in systems like, for example, red site, this is going to be a problem. So in this system, you can already imagine how many things you would have to add that towards to make that a possibility. Now I'm going to ask you guys to find me a CSRF tag vector in here. You don't have to exploit it yet. All you have to do is tell me CSRF could possibly happen here, maybe? Where would you guys say? You can also just tell me, click on this, click on that. You guys know that I really like teaching, by the way. When I teach, I really don't think about smoking weed. That's like one of the only times I don't think about smoking weed. When I teach and when I'm with my kid. I love this shit, I really do. It's so much fun. Because you guys get it. And it's often obvious that you get it as well. There's quite a lot in here, right? I'm gonna quickly grab myself a soda. One second.
No.
I can hear you. But...
Yeah, I know you can. No, that's not what you said last night that you love teaching.
What did I say last night then?
I can't say because there's students here.
I don't even remember what I said last night. I'm not joking. My memory is fucking mess. If I sit for too long, my back hurts. So if you guys need to stand up, this is your reminder to stand up and walk a little bit. Stretch your legs a bit.
Maybe in user settings?
It's more a good idea. User settings. So indeed, last name, first name, you could change their email address if this was possible. That's a good one. Let's have a check if we have a CSRF token in here. So we do have some kind of CSRF token in here. Now, how can I test if this is vulnerable to CSRF really quickly? Do you know that?
You paste the code in the console.
Yeah, but I'm thinking even quicker. I just remove it. I press delete and go submit. Does this accept it? Now I have to. How do I know if this is accept? Sorry?
No, I said that's good. I'm gonna take a note on that.
I need to change something in the form though. Otherwise, I don't know if it's accepted. So if I see right now, it doesn't seem like it's accepted, right? There unfortunately doesn't seem to be anything that's like accepted. So that's quite unfortunate. Let's go to this page though. And let's edit an item right here. So does this have a CSRF token? It does seem to have a CSRF token, but let's change this first name, this last name a little bit, this email. Somebody seems to have been fucking with the site. I love that. I love seeing that, by the way. Don't be afraid to break things in here, guys. Why are you yonking? Like the guinea pig is yonking like he's about to receive the best gift of his life. But anyway, we did see that this did work because the values have changed right here. So that is something that is indeed exploitable through CSRF. Now, if I want to build a proof of concept, indeed, I go to the network tab in here, and through here, I get my post request, and then I can indeed, so that is just that request. I need to get my post request, but that is how I can indeed create a proof of concept for this. Now, you could also, again, ask ChatGPT to do it, but how reliable that's going to be depends on its mood, I think, and maybe how the stars are aligned. But this is already a pretty good attack vector that I could create a proof of concept for. Let's give that a shot. But I wanted to go to this link right here. Delete contacts. Could I have a CSRF exploit on this?
Yeah. I think
And is there a form on
you
here?
sent the.
It's
I
a
don't
good,
see one.
the answer is correct, by the way. It's correct. You can have a CSRF exploit on here. And indeed, there is no form on here.
Or
So
either.
what's, yeah, you could have IDOR, but the whole idea is the CSRF exists here as well. And like Argus said, indeed, IDOR, like we said in the beginning, that's also possible here. So I could trick somebody to go into my website to click on this and blah, 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 but I don't even have to. Meaning, IDORs are IDORs failures in checking CSRF tokens? Yes, to a degree, but not always. Because you could still check the referrer. And checking the referrer, what does that mean? When I make a request from this website, so I'm going to submit a search query, I'm making a request from labs.hexpert.com to labs.hexpert.com. My referrer, where I came from, is labs.hexpert.com. So I could, on this delete contact, I could have a CSRF token somewhere in a get where it could have it in a get parameter or something, question mark CSRF equals. And as long as it stays within the HTTPS call, you're never gonna be able to see that URL. So that's a big bonus. That CSRF token, I could add that, but I could also check the referrer. That is why I say that it is so important to verify CSRF proof of concepts. Because sometimes you will find a website has no CSRF token, or you remove the CSRF token like I just did in your console, you submit the request and it works. And I've seen people submit bugs like that and fail because sometimes the referrer is checked. And that's something that you always need a proof of concept for anything you're going to do in this field. You will need. Did you break it, Organ? Did you break your tool?
Oh shit, sorry, was that on? Sorry, I thought it was muted. No, I'm trying to pick up a mortise lock with homemade tools, and I've made my tool too short. Fuck.
Oh,
Sorry, guys.
amateur level.
Sorry, guys.
I'm gonna have
Thought
to.
my mi-
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
really thought my mic was muted.
No problem.
Sorry.
Gonna have to send you to a lock picking tool creation course, I guess.
Come on, dude.
Behave
I made a tool. One of the tools I made out of a coat hanger, and the other one I've made out a bulldog clip thing. So come on,
Oh, nice.
give me some.
I can.
I'm actually doing MacGyver shit here.
I mean, I have to give you credit for that. That deserves a cookie, in my opinion.
Yeah, that deserves a cookie. I'm not just using tools designed for the job. I'm making them up as I go. Right, thank you. Carry on. CSRF it is. tokens,
right,
come on.
I will carry on. My apologies. So tokens, what else do I need to say? What can you check? What can you test for? So when you see a token like this, you can remove it. Number one. What else could you do? Number two, you could make it empty. So I'm gonna go back. Making it empty and removing it is different. Empty is value nothing, but it's still there. Removing it is taking it away entirely. Number two, you need to do both. Okay, so do that again. Okay, that's a second test. Third test, same length. So basically, I could remove a character from this E, I could make that A. And I have the same length of token. Is that still valid? Okay, that could potentially be an avenue that you could go on. You could include a token of the same length in your proof of concept. But once again, do generate that proof of concept because you never know for sure if there aren't any other verifications in place. So
Yep.
that's another one you could do.
You have to
That's
try and
three
find out.
already.
Yeah, you have to find out what verification method it's using, like the token length or the token consistency or content.
Indeed.
Sometimes
And
it doesn't
you need
even
to do
check the
this.
content as long as it's a certain length. Not
It's
secured,
super
by the way.
important. It's like really important that you do this on every single form after a login. That's important like this. So in contacts, search, not important. Not important because you will not see those results. So search is not important. Edit, delete, yes. What does that mean? Creation, potentially important. Creating new things, you could create something with Nexus has the tag vector in it, whatever. You could create a new user into the system, potentially. Reading, no, you cannot see things. Update, yes. Delete, yes. So create, update, delete. Those are things that you need to check. Okay, important for everything. Now, how can I automate this? That's the real kicker. Any ideas? Yes, indeed. You guys are totally right about that. I could use Burp Suite, for example. Good job, everybody. You're totally paying attention. And then what could I use for this? Replace here.
Purposely,
Replace rules. Yeah, like what I could do here is if I have a header, for example, and that header contains a CSRF token, I could make that into an empty header. So I could, for example, let's edit this one. All I need is this right here. So add, and I could do request header contains this, but not this. Instead, contains CSRF. Replace that with just an empty value like this. Right, Xmatch, put that on. And now every time I go through this website on this Chromium thing right here, if I go through this website and I click on a form where CSRF is supposed to be active, change values, if CSRF is supposed to be active and I click and it succeeds, I know that I need to look into that because I'm replacing the CSRF tokens. I can do exactly the same in the request body. You could ask it to make a regular expression, or you could make a regular expression yourself that looks for these CSRF tokens in the body and replaces them with nothing, with an empty CSRF token and with the CSRF token of the same length. Is that clear to you guys? Because this is how you make speed through a website. This is how you speedily go through an entire website just 3 times. Other people have to check every single form independently. You can do this automatically. So that's just 3 tests for an entire website. Click, 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 click. Also, there are security scanners for this. You could go to, for example, a security scanner like this. What's the disadvantage of a security scanner like this? Often they don't do things authenticated. So sometimes they want to sell you something where it's like, okay, you can do it authenticated now. but you have to buy this shit or that shit, whatever. I could do this, for example. I could scan my website. Yep, there we go. Already have to sign in. So you can see like these websites, they are useful. You can make an account on them, whatever. You have this one, CSRF Probe. This is one of the better ones in my opinion. But here again, you need to set it up correctly where you set up the headers and stuff like that. So you are authenticated. So this is a good one. This will actually work. You can see if something is vulnerable or not, likely vulnerable. The vulnerability type, so string encoded anti-CSRF tokens. I mean, I'm not gonna bore you guys to death with all of the different CSRF exploits. I want you to just remember those three. Those three are very, very, like, how do I put this? You need to focus on those three at the very least. For others, you can take a scanner like this, or there is a link in here as well to the CSRF testing guide. But I like to use this one. The one above is from OWASP. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. That's my gas card. What the fuck? So here you could see all of the prerequisites that we said as well. Valuable action, session management, as Orgus already mentioned, and absence of an unpredictable parameter. So good job on mentioning that, Orgus, because I totally forgot about that. But those are three very important things that you do need to take into account. And here's all of the defenses that could exist. So you could see that the CSRF token is only one of them. It's literally just one of them. So even if you don't see a CSRF token, doesn't mean that it's valuable per se. Here you have some bypasses. And one of the important ones that I forgot is changing your request method. So sometimes changing your request method from get to post to post to get could make it so that the CSRF token is no longer checked. But those request methods, they're not always accepted.
Sorry.
Sometimes it will accept it, sometimes not. No problem, by the way. So the OWASP testing guide, I wanted to go over that real quick as well. It's very, very in-depth, as you can see. It's pretty, like, the thing is, it will refer you to, oh, no, not the right one, but that's okay. This one is also very valuable. This one will also refer you to like a lot of resources, and this is going to like go over the things that we went over as well with how to test, creating an HTML page, hosting that page, and then sending the link to the page to the victim. You could also do this yourself. You don't have to host this on any type of server. If you have it on your own computer and you can make a request from your computer to that server, CSRF is proven in my opinion. You don't have to do it from a server to server. As long as it's from a different server than where it originated from, everything's fine. So if you just make this HTML page, you host it on your own PC, that's different than your target server. And then one last thing that I wanted to go over was Project Forgery. This is also a little bit of a tool that can help you find CSRF vulnerabilities. This is simpler in its usage, doesn't have as much features. Yes, but it has a get and a post exploit script. So basically, you can use this in two ways. But again, I'm not sure if you can use this authenticated. I haven't seen any headers you can add in here. Not too important. Like we can easily make scanners like this ourselves. If you look at what is in here, CSRF script.py, you'll see it's 60, like, holy shit, like, Jesus, this doesn't do a lot. All this does is goes to a website, it goes there, it sees if it's vulnerable or not. You can easily write this yourself, you know what I mean? Like this is just a script, I know there's more in here, but basically you can easily write something like this yourself if you really want to and you feel adventurous. This is not difficult. You do need to know the theory of, okay, I need to generate a website, I need to host myself, etc. Do you guys have questions about this so far? Because I did go over a lot. Don't be embarrassed to ask questions. In the meantime, I'm gonna think if I can do that. Yeah, I should be able to do that. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is going to share the link to this as well in that group chat that we've created. And here you will find that same CSRF checklist, a little bit more, like a tiny bit more in here. Basically, that's the same checklist that I've said before. Then also a little bit of a video and a presentation about CSRF, a guide created by our dear Orgis. Like this is normally I would explain CSRF through this, but I really like the iPad thing as well. So sorry for not showing your work at all, Orgis. I feel like I kind of bypassed you there. I'm sorry, man. It's like you put so much effort into this, and I'm like, nope, nope, fuck it. I'm gonna draw like a kid on an iPad.
No, that's all right because like it's available for download anyway. As part of the
Indeed, yeah.
materials, so yeah, they're not missing out on my wonderful work.
And here is a little bit of a bigger guide that we've written. This is a 15-pager that goes over all of this stuff again. This is just a simple checklist that you can have. And here we have a guide on how to test CSRF vulnerabilities with Burp Suite. This is that tools and tips thing that I showed you guys before. And that's it for today. Really, well done, guys. I'm proud of you all. This isn't super simple. I mean, it is simple, but when a lot of people know CSRF attacks, they don't know the full story. And I do think it is super important that you know everything. Servers, how they work, how they accept requests, what's going on in the backend, how to generate these CSRF proof of concepts, and how to actually make them valuable. Because like a simple CSRF proof of concept, nobody's gonna click that. Your victim, they're not gonna click that. And why do I think that's important? Because I hope that some of you guys get to go into the red teaming field someday. I mean, you can already imagine some of my students creating websites to steal credentials from big managers at a bank.
Yeah. And when you need help with
Right.
lockpicking when you're a red teamer, remember give me a shout. I'll give you some tips.
He's actually pretty good at that stuff. Like, I don't think there's a lock that you haven't picked, right? Like all of the locks you've bought, you've picked so far.
No. There's one that's a really, really cheap one. It was $3. I can't fucking open it.
Unpickable.
I think
That's always
it's
the
that.
case.
Yeah, I think it's that cheap. I'm oversetting the pins, but like, fuck me, I haven't
The
opened
problem
that.
is they're machined so cheaply that it's almost impossible. Like they're just fucked.
No, this is harder than those cheap Chinese clear plastic locks that you get.
I want to show
And
you
there's
guys one
also
as well.
there's another two locks I haven't opened. It's the one my son got me for my birthday. It's got like a
Ah,
smiley
yeah,
face. It's got like a smiley face keyway. I can't for the life of me open that lock.
the smiley one. Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh yeah, it's like a dimple key. It's like it's hard to explain, but it's like what the.
I have this really cheap lock here, and the thing is, even with the key, it's really hard to open. It's just machined so badly, and I cannot pick it for the life of me, dude. I can rake any other lock, but this lock I cannot rake.
Oh,
Fucking hell, I cannot pick it.
rake. Here we
Yes,
go.
I know I'm a new. I get the job done. That's my thing. I get the fucking job done.
The first
You
thing I
get
do
the
is
expertise. I get the shit done.
no. The first thing I do is rake it just to see. Oh, rake it, open it. Like no point picking it then. But I'm sitting with one of those locks with a key, not a padlock, a key, a door lock. With the
Yeah,
big bolt. And I don't have any tools, so I've been making my own tools with a Dremel and a vise and a heat gun. I need
holy
to make
shit,
some.
this piggy is fat.
I need to make some tweaks. The only reason I'm doing it is because I like to make things with my hands sometimes instead of hitting the
It
keyboard.
is fun.
Instead of hitting
Yeah,
the
that's
keyboard all
definitely
the time,
fun.
like let's hit bits of metal instead.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's fun to create. That's why I love making things like that Discord bot as well. It's fun
Yeah.
to have it working, but it's like I should probably create useful stuff for runs instead of all of this shit. I mean, I
No,
don't know
that's
if you guys
useful.
know Hackers Game. Like this
I
is
mean,
useful actually. Hacker's game is starting to be useful because this is a big thing. We are going to turn this into a lab actually to like this is going to be a game hacking lab, which is fun, right? Like it's actually going to teach you guys game hacking.
yeah, we're in the process of separating the database so it doesn't get hardened, just in case.
Yeah, indeed. What the hell is Hacker's Attack? Oh yeah, when the hell did I make that?
Oh my god.
He has 14,000 HP. What the hell did I do wrong? I'm fucked, aren't I? Uh,
I can't open this first lever.
oh, right. It's based on your hackers, and the bonus damage that you do is also based on the hackers.
Fuck's sake.
All right, guys. Yeah, like video game hacking, indeed, AKMK. Like the thing is, this is gonna be like teaching things like I don't know if you guys know those types of browser games, like where you build a clan and you hack other people, and there's this I don't remember what it's called, but there's this bug bounty target, which is a game like this, a browser game, which is really fun to hack, and I want to teach people how to hack like that as well. Hopefully, like we can make a separate track out of this, like game hacking, because there are some things separate about this. You could even do game hacking on a regular desktop. Like what I used to do when I was younger is there's this game called Conquer Online, and you cannot do this anymore. But I found a way where I could basically just capture the traffic with like a man in the middle proxy. I found a way to capture the packets for getting gold, and basically I found out that it was really easy to manipulate. Just like, you had to have the identifier of the monster where it came from, but that's easy because monsters spawn all of the time. Like get 1,000,000 gold from one monster. Fucking love doing that stuff. Yeah. I put the piggy inside, by the way, because he was getting constantly raped by the rabbit. I'm not joking.
Yeah,
The piggy was like literally raped by the rabbit. Poor guy.
I give up lock picking with this lock.
My puppy would use a snack if that's okay.
Are you sure? Because I mean, look at this thing. Isn't it going to kind of fall heavy on the stomach of your dog?
Yeah.
It's massive. It's literally massive.
Okay, 2 snacks. Then.
This could be a week. I'm not joking. This thing weighs like 2 kilograms. Although, yeah, a week is a bit much, maybe. You have a fat dog. Please don't kill me. I insulted your dog. It didn't mean it in that way. I promise.
I'm just sending me a coat hanger.
Actually,
Oh, wait, actually, I just got a great idea.
Orgus has an idea.
Yeah, it's okay.
So-
None of it will make sense to any of you people, so it won't matter.
When it comes to CSRF, there's one small thing I didn't mention yet. CSRF on a JSON. Like, have you guys ever seen those requests where you have like a JSON in the body and stuff like that? Or XML, I mean. Sorry, XML.
Yeah, XML.
So basically, it's not possible to have CSRF on those types of things. And there's like a whole thing about that. But it's basically about the content type. You cannot have CSRF on those. Well, you could, and also on the JSON one, but it's like more difficult. Just this regular body, it's easier. And I also said that get it's possible because you can have a CSRF token in the get parameters. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, but it's just less done. Like this is often not done. You have other security measures to protect if there's an identifier, for example. It's more about executive functions, meaning broken access control on the functions that don't have identifiers in them. So yeah, well, not per se. It's complicated. It's complicated. Let's keep it at that. I think you guys have learned enough for today. I'm not going to cram your head with any other information. Just go through this afterwards, go through all the material, see if you have any more questions, and most of all, try to exploit this. These labs are open for you. I know that some of these labs, like here in the CSRF, are maybe not working, but you can be sure that credit transfers are working. And in the full systems, a lot of them have CSRF in them, a lot of them. So they should be exploitable for CSRF. I think you guys are doing really well so far because you're starting to learn how a website works. You're starting to learn your man-in-the-middle proxies like Burp Suite. There's going to be more lessons about business logic exploit next, I believe. I'm not 100% sure anymore. I'll have to check the schedule.
No,
But
no,
basically,
you're right. Business logic's next.
yes. Do I get a cookie?
Yeah, you got something
Yes.
right. Woohoo!
Yes. I get a cookie and Marius doesn't.
Sorry, boss, but you got something right. Well done.
It's okay. I'm happy. I get a cookie for once.
Yeah, you get a cookie.
Woo.
Woohoo!
No, but seriously, to every single one of you, really well done. Because I think, I don't know, just a question to you guys, to the crowd. Have you guys learned anything new today? Or was all of this like, no, we know all of this already. You're not teaching me anything new here. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Good,
Oh,
good.
that's awesome.
You also know that
And
if you have a Burp Professional, you could also use the built-in proof of concept generator that Burp provides.
indeed, yeah.
But yeah, but to be honest, I would just use the yeah, I just use the online method. It's easier, it works more. Unless
indeed.
unless you're doing the Portswigger Academy CSRF labs, then I would recommend using the Burp one. But
I'm gonna teach you guys something really simple in terms of that. So let's say that in here, I want to be able to exploit this through CSRF, right? So I'm going to see inspect. I'm going to go to network tab. I'm going to send my request out. I'm going to right click this. I'm going to go copy as curl. And I'm going to execute this in my any terminal, any website, any terminal. I'm going to see, okay, execute this. If this works, CSRF. Does that make sense? So basically, if my curl request from any server to that victim site works, CSRF attack. Because I'm doing a cross-site, different sites, forging a request. Oh, that's awesome. That's really good. I really appreciate that, guys. If there's questions after this, don't hesitate to ask me. I'm thinking about making a little bit more of an advanced CSRF section as well in Web3, but we'll see later about that because it is important, but it's not that important, you know? Like you need to know this stuff, but it's more as a basis for other stuff that we're going to do later. Again, it does still occur because I did get this in bug bounties. I did get a bounty with this stuff. So it does still happen. It is important that you know it. And a lot of places do say CSRF isn't in scope. So do check that just to be sure. All right, guys. I'm going to go. I'm going to go to bed. Well, no, take care of Haggis first. Haggis needs a hug. Where's my boy?
I just gave him a hug. You feel it?
Yeah, he wants to show you his balls.
Yeah, I know that. I'll show him my lockpick tool that I made.
Hey, boys. Hey, boys. Hey, boys. I made some waffles today. So I did do something productive.
I made roast
Slightly.
chicken.
Was it good?
I've not eaten it yet. I don't know, but it looks good and smells good.
You know what I made for the first time? I made chicken teriyaki. I just got like a chicken breast. I made like little chicken cubes. I took some broccoli. I took some soy sauce and some sugar, and I threw it in a pan. Bam, done.
What do you call that? Chicken teriyaki?
Yeah, fucking
I
good.
call that chicken and broccoli with soy sauce.
And fucking sugar. That's teriyaki.
Oh yeah, sorry. Don't
Fuck it,
forget.
good enough.
Don't forget the fucking sugar.
There we go.
There we go.
So, check them out, boss.
Yay.
I love rats, dude. Rats are so cool. They're actually pretty attached to you, which I didn't guess. Like, especially this guy. Like, he seemed to not like me at the start, but now he comes to me for protection, which is pretty cool. I like that. That's what I like about rats. They're pretty much like dogs.
Yep.
If you train them well enough. Like, you need to be busy with them, like more than an hour per day. Of course, I have a rat. I have two. I used to have 25 rats. I'm not joking. I used to have 25 rats. This is my boy Peep. Peep is a little skittish, you know. Peep weighs like 600 grams.
Pipsqueak.
And this is my boy Haggis. That's his father. Haggis is literally the father of Pip. Ooh. Careful there, Pip, that you don't hurt. There we go. Haggis, I bought Haggis initially. I bought him and I bought like maybe 3 other female rats. But yeah, they got together and they got like 25 rats. So we sold like a bunch of them and now we have Haggis and the other one. And Haggis is more like cuddly boy. Awesome, guys. I really enjoyed today's lesson. Really appreciate it. You all were very interactive. I love seeing that. I don't like talking to a wall, so I really appreciate your participation in all of this. If you have more questions, once again, don't hesitate to ask. And I'm gonna be sure to give you guys an assignment today. So expect that. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye, amazing hackers.
What do you mean? Worse than
You
the
all may be in the
asymmetric and
next
symmetric one?
Nobody did that. Nobody but you.
Yeah, and I kept it short and sweet because I didn't want to go into it.
Awesome, guys. I'll see you later. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.